This is Ashana Larson with Falzer Under 5, a podcast combining music and purpose for the Falzer Club. The Falzer Club is a music venue in the East Falls section of Philly that combines music and activism to foster community and make the world a better place for everyone. Today I have the honor of being with the fabulous Michele Peraino with Swing That Cat.
Hello.
Swing That Cat is described as a mix of jump blues and swizzle with horny swing, with a dash of cabaret and a splash of Bourbon Street. Love that description, Michele. They will be at the Falzer Club on Friday, April 19th. Michele will also have her artwork on display at the club, along with band member Hugh Luck. We can't wait. Michele, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, Ashana.
So, Michele, you are a multi-talented person. You sing, you're an incredible artist, you do sculpture, you're a muralist, fashion designer, you do all of the things.
What made you so creative?
Initially, I think as a kid, I grew up very poor, and my parents had split up, and unfortunately, my dad was a little bit of a deadbeat in paying child support. So I learned how to make things. I would trash pick initially and create things that way. And then I started babysitting and making some money. And then I would go to thrift shops, and I still go to thrift shops. I will buy something and either completely cut it apart or just repurpose it in a way by hand painting it. Often I had to do alterations, but it was the thing that started it. And as a kid, my mom had taught me how to hand sew, and I would make stuffed animals by hand and create my own patterns. And I was really little doing this, but I sort of saw things in 3 dimensions, even though I didn't understand that's what I was doing.
That's fascinating. Sometimes adversity causes us to give up or rise to the occasion. When we talked earlier, you had mentioned that you wish people would find their joy and just follow it. And you feel that most people have given up on themselves. It's so easy to get lost in this chaotic world because we're filled with expectations that don't necessarily seem natural to us or meet our innate desires. So what advice do you have for people who have lost their way?
Goodness, that's a good question. I know with my experience, I was 40 years old, and it wasn't like I hadn't done anything in my life. I had been painting murals for well over 15 years at that point, and maybe longer at this point. At that time, my father had Huntington's chorea and had been diagnosed for quite a while. And with Huntington's, it's pretty much like mixing Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and lunacy, because it's killing all the neuroreceptors of the brain. And I was just turning 40, and at that moment when he passed, I thought to myself, I have a 50-50 chance of having this happen to me or any one of my siblings. And if that happens, then my father was 62. I need to make a change. I need to actually do something and do the things that I've had in my head all my life, but would always put other things ahead of it. And I don't mean just raising kids, because raising kids, it's a hard thing to do. It's the hardest job out there, but it's not a reason for you to give up. And I often find that when you are raising your kids, that you can often put all of your hopes and dreams into your kids. And that's not a bad thing to be in support of them, but it is a bad thing for you to lose that sense of that the dreamer inside of you that says, I wish I would have done this. And what you see when someone faces death is that often they're faced with regret. I wish I would have, I could have, I didn't do that thing. And often those dreams are the dreams that you had when you were a little kid and you sort of put aside for that length of time. And it's always a good thing when kids propel themselves at an early age and the parents are there in support. But I didn't necessarily have that kind of support in my family. It's hard for me to say that as a human because it sounds as if I'm embittered by it. But if anything, I was inspired by it. I looked at my trials and tribulations. It's like listening to the blues. You listen to the blues not because you want to be sad. You listen to the blues because it is a way to see past your sadness. It's like listening to Pink Floyd. It doesn't make me sad. It makes me feel like my life is so much better than I'm giving, I'm telling myself. You know, people narrate their story. When you think about it, they really narrate their story. And if they're happy being miserable, they're happy being miserable. There's comfort in that. I know I was for a very long time. And my father's death really was, you know, I'm going to segue all the way back, but my father's death was really the true cause of it. And as a kid, I didn't have the support of my family, yet they are the very reason why I am the way I
am. So much of that resonated so deeply with me, Michele. And it's also like sometimes our misery is just what's familiar.
Yes.
And I really love that thought of going back to like what inspired us as kids, right? What was that we had that we somehow lost? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it could be dancing in your living room as a kid and singing Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive while you're doing some kind of crazy dance choreography that you came up with, you know, and you're in the middle of your living room doing that, and you remember that memory so well. And I think I was 10.
Yeah. I had my dance moments in the living room too, all alone. So I love that. You know, you are. So I'm so excited to get to see your artwork when you have it at the Falzer, and you work on murals with your band member Luck. So both of you will have your work on display, and I'm curious, like how it is to create art in collaboration with others compared to your solo work.
You know, painting murals is very lonely work. And to be able to share it with another person is not just about the collaboration. It is about the conversations. It's about the silly moments, and we are super silly. One of our clients actually told us that we should start our own show of traveling and visiting our fellow muralists and decorative artist friends, because they work from everywhere around the world and go and visit them at their studio and then interview them and then make sure that they're on a job at the time so that you can then go to the job and see, let them explain what they're doing on their project that they're presently working on. And at first when she said it, I thought that was the craziest idea. And so did Hugh. And Hugh is 70. So he comes at it sometimes. He's definitely he's goofy, but at the same time, he has a tendency to say, I am old, instead of saying, I'm getting older. And there are two different messages. And I have to often remind him, dude, you're like the least old person. You're like a 12 to 14-year-old stuck in your body that's getting older. And you need to stop referring to yourself as getting old. And I think often people will do that to themselves. You know, when they get older, they're like, well, I can't do that anymore because I'm too old. That's baloney. Actually, it's the very thing that keeps you alive is to remember that you're just getting older. Because we have a friend who's almost 104, and she is the most feisty, alive, and completely cognizant human being. And it's because she doesn't say, I'm old. She says, I'm getting older, and maybe I'll stop counting when I'm 105.
Okay, I'm guilty of saying that I'm old, and I'm going to stop saying it right now because I want to
saying it. Stop saying it. It's terrible to say. And honestly, you know, with the quality of life that we can have now as human beings, we can live a very long time, and people are retiring later and later, not just because of finances, but because it's really hard to not have something to do and be around people. And having a job and working with someone gives you the happy joy you need in life to get up, get motivated, and be happy.
Right. And it's like if you have a job that you love, then you don't want to retire because it's like retiring from your life. So if you do your life work, right, then that's just part of your life, not something you retire from.
So true. I mean, even if I stopped climbing scaffolding eventually, and I have a 5-year plan that I am working towards not having to climb scaffold all the time. Once in a while is fine if the project's worth it, but all of the time I'm going to take it down and create my own pieces. And I want to do this before he did, because I see what a toll it can take on the body. But at the same time, I can't imagine stop being an artist or a musician. And I have a new opportunity coming up that I will be playing a part in a movie. And to be able to do that, you can do that at any age.
Congrats. That sounds very exciting.
It is very exciting. I'm going to play a really horrible mom.
Oh, no.
I'm really excited about it because it is the antithesis of how I feel about myself as a mother.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I think the big joys in life, if you're an actor, is to play a part that is completely different from you and find your place in it, which is very difficult. And then on top of it, who wants to play the good guy? Why wouldn't you want to play the bad guy?
Right. And I'll tell you, like, you don't climb scaffolding all the time. You're also on stage. And just for the record, when you start that show where you tour muralists, I can't wait to watch it. That sounds phenomenal.
Well, do you want to know the inspiration of how we perform?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay, well, so Louis Prima was my big inspiration as a kid. And, you know, when you're a kid, you love movies like The Jungle Book or The Aristocats and a lot of the Disney stuff. And I loved Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers and a lot of the old big band shows. And then there were a lot of variety shows on during that time frame. So you were constantly being inundated by all of these performers. And as a kid, that's what you want to do. You want to be doing the thing that they're doing. They look like they're having a great time. So my big inspiration was Louis Prima, and my husband's was Louis Jordan. And we both loved equally Louis Armstrong. So it's 3 Louis for me. And as a band, we are a show band. We're about giving you a good show and making sure you have a good time, play songs that are danceable, some that are a little less danceable, but that means you can grab each other, the person you like, and dance with them a little bit slower. Some people just want to watch, but that whole feeling, that silliness that was conveyed when those performers were performing, that makes me so happy. And I love so many different types of music, but the one that is best for my voice is that era of music, but we just bring it to today's sound.
Perfect. And I know you have a song that you're going to share with us today that I can play a little snippet about it. You want to leap off your seat? Do I have it right?
Yes. Leap off your seat. It's a weird, funny story how I came up with the song. So you know how you have certain soundtracks that play in your head? One of my soundtracks, is George of the Jungle. The other one is Mersey Dotes. And I know, it's so funny. And then the other one is the William Tell Overture, which was used for the Lone Ranger. And they will often play in my head, and I definitely have ADD because I will tap with them as I'm thinking about something. And my head will be going, my whole body will be going. And, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to remember why I started this. Oh, leap off your seat. So, hence the ADD. But my husband, myself, and Hugh, our flute player, were on the Moody Blues cruise, which is a music cruise. And the Moody Blues were playing the Zombies, Renaissance, Vanilla Fudge, so many other bands were playing. Even a different, slightly different variation of the orchestra were playing. And I was going up on the elevator, and George of the Jungle was spinning through my head. And then I started scatting with it. And as I was scatting with it, in walks Mark Fauner and his wife. Mark Fauner is the lead band leader of Grand Funk. And he walks in, and I said, "Hey, are you having a good time on the cruise?" And he said, in his very British accent, "Yes, my dear. Are you?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I said, what is your favorite band? And he said, oh, well, that would be my band. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't recognize you. Who is your band? And he said, I am Mark Fauner of Grand Funk. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love your music. But his wife looked at me and she busted a gut laughing because, you know, everybody on the cruise that was there to see all the musicians, they go gaga, whereas I don't necessarily. I treat everyone the same way I would treat any other person that you would meet, and that's the golden rule. And basically, I was like, oh, well, I like your music too. But as I was talking to him, I had this song playing in my head, and he walks out of the elevator. I walk in the opposite direction after leaving the elevator, and all of a sudden this song jumped in my head after I had scattered with it, and I was locked and loaded. And we were leaving later in that day for this remote island where they pretty much, it's their private island for the cruise lines. And we were going to see 2 different bands play. And I had, phones weren't what they are today. So I'm doing mini recordings of me scatting it so I don't lose my place. And luckily I had a notebook with me, and I started writing down lyrics. My husband comes over to me, and I'm laying there on one of the beach chairs, but far away from the music because I didn't want to lose my place. And he said, what are you doing? Aren't you enjoying the music? And I said, I got a song in my head, and it won't leave. And this is really important. And they're only a cover band. I'm sorry. This is really important. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to see some tribute band. And he just looked at me and he was like, well, what is it you're doing? And I played it to him, what I had partially. And he was like, oh, this is really good. And he was like, okay, I would change this in the lyrics because I think it would work better with consonants and your vowels. And then we started playing, and he didn't end up going back and listening to the tribute band. And we ended up bringing it to Hugh that night. And he was like, wow, holy moly. So it happens in the weirdest places when you're writing a song. You don't get to choose. They jump in your head at any given point. And from that point on, it was like our heavy-duty, big band swing song. I mean, it could easily be orchestrated at this point to big band if I wanted it to.
All right, so we're going to take a pause.
That went long. I'm sorry.
It was beautiful. So right now we're going to play a little snippet of Leap Off Your Seat. And if you want to hear the entire thing, you need to come to the Falzer Club on April 19th. So here we go.
We're gonna make you leap up off the seat, gonna make you scream and shout. We'll take you to the highest high, better not sit this one out. We're gonna make you jump up and
right. That was Leap Off Your Feet by Swing That Cat. Michele, thank you so much. This has been such an incredible pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashana. Thank you very much.
Okay, this is Ashana Larson with Falzer Under 5, a podcast combining music and purpose for the Falzer Club. Today I was with Michele Peraino from Swing That Cat, performing at the Falzer Club on Friday, April 19th. Grab your dance shoes, and we hope to see you there. Be well, be creative, make a difference.